Here we go!
You're listening to the Video Game Show on URN.
Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the URN Game Show. This is very exciting. This is our first ever episode. We've just been awarded the show. And I'm your host, Henry, and we're joined in the studio today by Mark. Say hello.
Hello there, Henry. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Mark. Thanks for asking. Dylan.
Excellent news.
Hi.
And we have Jack.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on today, Henry.
It's great to have you guys on. No, it's so exciting to be here. You know, we auditioned for our show and we got it. So
It's a momentous occasion for all of us, I think.
it is indeed. It's very exciting to be here. So today we're going to cover lots of different things. We're going to do some gaming news. We're going to chat about the games we've been playing, what we're looking forward to, and we'll have a bit of a discussion at the end about our favourite video game characters and that sort of thing. But we'll crack on with some news. So recently, Nintendo have announced their latest console, the Switch. You guys seen this trailer for it?
Yeah, of course.
Mate, the Switch is cool. I'm 100% on board with the Switch. Should we talk a little bit about what?
Yeah, do you want to give us a rundown of what it is?
Yeah, okay. So the Nintendo Switch is their latest platform, and it's a hybrid home console handheld system. So the idea is it looks a lot like an iPad in a sense. It's got controllers that you attach to the side of it, and you can play games on it. And then when you go home, you take the controllers off, you plug the iPad into a docking station that charges it, it puts it out onto your TV screen, you sit down with your controllers, and you can play it at home as well. I think it's genius.
I think it's very clever. And actually, often that we've been sold a gimmick by Nintendo, and they said you can do this with this kind of machine. But this gives you proper gaming on the fly, and it's completely seamless.
Yeah, it's a really smart move for them. I think, if you look at the Wii U and you sort of see what they were trying to do with the Wii U, and they had that second screen experience going on, as you said, it was a gimmick, but it worked, but it wasn't really a portable experience.
You couldn't leave the house with it, could you?
Yeah, like it was tethered to that console, and now they've gone, no, we're taking the 3DS, we're taking the Wii U, we're mashing those together, we're having this truly, like, it's a universal experience. You can take it wherever you want, do whatever you want.
Well, this is it. Like Nintendo have always been known for their portability in their consoles and everything. You know, with
Game Boy for life, man.
With the Wii U, they've had that. They had it so that you could buy the Wii U station, and you've also got the gamepad that you can take around with you as well. And now with the Switch, it just looks it looks like something that's going to revolutionise the way that people play. You know, if you watch the trailer, you know, you see people playing it in the back of their car, and they've each got one of those tiny little controllers playing a two-player on Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's worth talking about as well. The controllers on it.
Very similar to the Wiimotes, isn't it? How you can use each side as just a smaller version of the main controller.
Yeah, so they attach to the screen.
Sorry.
So they attach to the screen, and each one's got 4 buttons and an analog stick, and then you can take them off the screen, and each person takes one of them, and they act as mini controllers, and then 2 people can play on the same console without having to buy extra controllers. It's Nintendo are leaning into their portability. They're leaning into the fact they're a social console.
Yeah.
And it's a super.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think actually this is going to be the product that hopefully unites portable console and home console together. If it brings it all together and the experience that they have promised, you know, this kind of seamless, take it off the dock, go on the fly, I think it's going to sell pretty well.
I think also as well, you know, when we talk about the main consoles nowadays, we talk about Xbox versus PlayStation. And I think that this is definitely something that Nintendo need to maybe get their name back out there and try and maybe. I don't think perhaps it's going to compete with what Xbox and PlayStation are planning to do in the future.
I mean, I don't think it has the power, does it?
It's a completely different thing.
I don't think they're trying to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going for a different sort of market because, I mean, a lot of people I doubt would even sort of know that the Wii U's even different, because you often hear stories of people asking for a Wii U and then just getting a Wii from their parents or whatever. And now, so it looks like they're trying to go more down a you're playing with your friends route rather than a gaming, like, this is for gaming, this is for being with your friends and playing a game with your friends.
But I think what's really special, and this goes back to what Jack just said about trying to get their name on the map, is if you look at, they've put out a list of all the developers they're partnering with, people who have come out and said, we're making games for this console, and it's not just like Ubisoft, like it was for the Wii U. This is like Bethesda's on there, From Software's on there. Like the Dark Souls guys are saying they want to make something for this console. So already they're getting in support from people who aren't just people who want to throw out shareware collections of nonsense.
Yeah,
you got to be aware as well. Like, this is the next console for Nintendo, not just as their main console, but I guess their portable one as well. There's not going to be another DS.
Do you not think so?
Well, it seems they're going for the portable route, so there might be another DS, but if that happens, you're going to end up with Pokemon on this, and Pokemon sells a lot. It's gonna help the console sell if you've got
I totally
the main
agree.
Pokemon game on there.
The thing I would say is that it's interesting when the Xbox One came out, the message was extremely mixed and people didn't really know what it was. They said this can be your TV, this can be your game thing. People were really confused. Whereas Nintendo, it was quite cheesy, but the ad was very clear. They're like, this is what it does, this is what you're going to get out of it, this is what you'll enjoy of it. So actually I thought it was very clear, and I came away understanding what they wanted to sell me. Whereas Xbox, I was like, I literally don't know what you're selling me.
Oh man, I loved when they first announced the Xbox. I think I'm the only person who's got this, but as in like who likes this. But when they came out with the Xbox One, and the whole point was it's not a gaming console, it's your home entertainment system. You plug it into your cable or your Skybox, I guess here, but I don't know if it worked with that.
Because it was it's the Xbox One. It's all input, one output.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. But I mean, like you said, the messaging on that was shoddy at best.
It wasn't good, and they did flip flop a lot on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's fair to say that we're excited for the Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Switch is really cool.
This is pretty cool. So that was very exciting. So yeah, and then next we move on to VR. Jack and I talked a bit in our demo about VR, but what do you guys think about VR? Do you like the sound of it?
Have you guys had a chance to use any VR kit?
I haven't. I really want to, but
I haven't either.
I got a chance last year
Did
to use an HTC Vive and an Oculus Rift.
Right.
And VR is really, really cool.
See, I mean, you say that, and I think we've all seen those videos of the people putting it on, and then we see them, maybe doing a roller coaster ride, and they absolutely, they get so scared, and it's funny to watch. But there are some dangers to it, of course. When you put that headset on, you aren't particularly aware of your surroundings, so there could be some dangers, and I think that perhaps we're not moving towards a VR gaming system anytime soon, where it's going to be dominated, where the gaming industry is going to be dominated by VR and VR only. I don't think we're anywhere near that, but it is definitely something that needs a bit more work to maybe make it a lot more entertaining for the public.
It's too expensive to be, at this point anyway, to be a main thing, because obviously you've got PSVR, but that's even then it's an extra thing that most people aren't going to buy, are they?
But I suppose it's PSVR. I guess a PS4 is £250, and then PSVR is another 300 on top of that, which
and
makes
the camera and the peripherals and all that.
Well, I guess it makes it a little bit cheaper, but I mean, compared to an HTC Vive, which is a £700 piece of kit, and you need probably an £800 PC to make it run.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
So it all sort of comes together. But yeah, I mean, I got a chance to play an HTC Vive tech demo made by a British company called Unseen Democracy, which is you play as a spy infiltrating a base. And it uses the HTC Vive's room scale stuff, and it's like a large area that was taped out on the floor with the lighthouses around it. And you put on the headset and you take the controllers and you sit down on the floor, and they say like 3, 2, 1, go, and it goes completely black. And they say right, like they're in your earpiece, and they say you're in a box. So you push forward, and like the box falls away, and you're in a warehouse. And the geometry of it was really well made. You sort of move through the warehouse, and you get to the exit. And the exit goes into another room next to the warehouse, and the way out of that room goes back into the warehouse. So it used the room scale really well to present the feeling that I was actually sneaking through like a secret base. And there was a particular moment that stood out for me where you have to leave this room via a ventilation, like a vent in the floor. And so I crouch down, I push the vent open, and I step out, and I'm on a ledge about 6 inches wide above what appeared to me to be like a 30-foot drop. And I looked down, and my heart like leapt up into my throat. Like I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to heights anyway. And this thing, I genuinely panicked, and sort of you step forward. So I walked along this ledge, and to get off the ledge, I had to go through another like ventilation shaft, but there was a ladder blocking it, so I had to push the ladder. And watching the ladder fall away from me, I had that like intense vertigo again, and sort of I ruined it because to test it myself, I stepped forward into the void, and obviously I was just standing in a room, so nothing happened, and you sort of lose that experience. But the fact that they have made a technology that can make you feel such realistic and powerful feelings is like that. Like I was genuinely scared, means there's a future for it. Like maybe not now, maybe not in 10 years, but at some point it's going to be really
I think it does show that the immersion that they're promising is real. The fact that you felt genuine fear shows that your body actually believed that you were in that environment, and I think that just shows the immersion is it's pretty good.
Have you seen the videos of people playing virtual pool with them? And so you really get into it, and then obviously when you're playing pool, you lean on the table. But when you do this in virtual reality, there's no table there, so you go to lean on it and just fall flat on your face.
It's that incredible video of Ronnie O'Sullivan falling over in a VR headset. It's great.
Brilliant.
I think VR looks cool. I was saying to Jack in the demo, I think it's actually be quite a good way to bring out arcades, because I don't want to buy a VR set, but I would happily turn up to a place and pay to use one. I'd pay a £5 and use one for an hour. I'd do that.
So, there is a piece of software you can get online called the New Retro Arcade, which is a VR piece of software, and you go into it, and you control it with a controller, but it gives you an arcade, and then you have to download all of the ROMs that you want from other places, and it puts them into virtual arcade machines. So you're in an arcade, you move around inside of it, you go up to like a Pac-Man machine, and then it boots that ROM within it, so it feels like you're there in an arcade doing it. And then there's like a radio which you can put your own MP3 players into, and there's a Game Boy in the corner and consoles, and it's someone's made a VR like shell for all these arcade games and like old console games and stuff. And so that's already happening. Like it's a little indie project, but that kind of stuff is happening. It's really cool.
Yeah, it'll definitely get bigger, I think. So yeah, VR, a lot of potential there, and I'm very interested to see how that comes into our houses. See if people actually ends up buying a lot of these things. So yeah, pretty exciting. And then the next piece of hardware we're going to talk about, because that's all the news there is. That's the big news at the moment. Is the Xbox Scorpio, I should say, and the PS4 Pro. Yeah. And someone give me a bit of an introduction as to what those are.
I'm happy to talk about the Scorpio. So it's basically just the Xbox One and PS4. They're powerful, but not that powerful. And when you consider PC gaming, it's about the same price to get a more powerful console, a more powerful gaming machine at this point. So the Scorpio is kind of the next step. It's a really powerful Xbox One, essentially. It can do, I think it's HDR, 4K games. It's going to be able to use VR. I think that's the point, is that it's a VR primed console.
And I think just to go raw numbers on it, I think these numbers don't mean anything to me, but the ratios make sense. I think the current Xbox One clocks in at about 2 teraflops, whatever that is in processing power. I want the Scorpio to be like 6 or 7.
Oh, really? Okay,
so we're looking at 3 times more powerful at least.
So
I don't know what that means, but
so is this an evolution of the Xbox One, or is it actually just another console?
I think they want to advertise it as an evolution, but it's basically the difference between an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One at this point.
You think so?
It's a new console, but they're kind of they're trying to make it. It seems a bit more like the sort of mobile phone sort of way of getting new things. It's the next step.
Yeah, it will play Xbox One games.
Yeah. Well, they tried to say we want it so you're not making the game more. You're not utilizing the power for. What was it? They didn't want it to just be like added lighting effects. So this game would run on Scorpio way better than the One.
Oh, right.
They wanted to just be sort of just so it runs nicer, not that there's any reason it wouldn't run on the Xbox One.
Well, that's,
but it's going to end up that it does. You're going to get games you can't play on the Xbox One.
Well, I think it's worth, in this case, talking about the PS4 Pro, because that's coming out soon.
It is coming out soon.
Really soon.
Yeah, very soon.
Yeah, and that's a souped up PlayStation 4. It's got 4K upscaler in it, so it doesn't actually run anything natively at 4K, but it can output at 4K, and it's got some HDR things in it and other stuff. But what's interesting about that, and it links back to what Dylan was just saying, is Sony have specifically said if you're using the PS4 Pro, games cannot run at a lower frames per second on the PS4 Pro than they can on the PS4.
Right.
So if you're going to put your game on the PS4 Pro and give it a PS4 Pro mode, it has to at least have a better frame rate.
Okay.
So they're already going like,
that's pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's brilliant because it means like you can get these new consoles you can get the PS4 and Xbox One to play games really well, but it requires a lot of time and effort and development power and all that other sort of stuff. And so I think it's really important now that the console manufacturers are going, yeah, we're making a more powerful thing, but don't just throw in better textures. Actually make these games run better. Like, because just what is Witcher 3 on PS4 is like 14 frames a second average or something shocking like that. Like games need to run better before they look better.
Okay, so it's going to basically make it a bit more fluid. Yeah. It sounds like if they can do that on every game, then I think that's pretty good. But the only thing they have done, PS4 Pro, which I think is absolutely maddening, is that it's not a 4K player. So although it plays 4K games, you can't play your 4K DVDs on it. And I don't have any myself, but people do. And I was just, what? Why did they do that?
Yeah.
It's completely moronic. Like
Netflix are going into they're like you get
Yeah,
4K
they
streaming
are,
on
fair.
that. You'd
Hell,
think-
man, YouTube is doing it.
Yeah, YouTube as
yeah,
well.
I think you can do that, but you can't
You'd
put
think-
in a DVD, an Ultra HD DVD. You can't play it in 4K.
Oh, so you can stream 4K.
You can
but
stream.
can't-
You can stream.
you can't
Granted,
put in a
but
UHD.
but like some people have
ridiculous.
UHD and you can't. I just why? Why did they do that?
I guess the people with UHD at this point though, they have the obviously it opens the market up to other people.
That is a
but
fair point.
At least
people
you're
who-
not. At least they know
Yeah,
before
no,
they get it.
that is fair. And they already have their players, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of hardware news. A lot coming up. New PS4, new Xbox, Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it's all looking pretty exciting, really.
Yeah, I think we should quickly say, actually, the Nintendo Switch is due to be released March
it
in
is, yeah.
2017, and Nintendo recently said in January they're going to put out another press release going through exact release date, they're going to go through the price, they're going to talk a little bit more about some of the specific features, things like does it have a touchscreen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's still some more stuff to come out, but that's March 2017, I believe.
It is
I mean,
indeed.
I definitely can't wait for that. Now we are going to go to a song, and when we come back, we are of course going to be looking at a couple of games that have just been released, and we're going to be doing a couple of reviews. And I know Dylan, you're waiting in the wings to talk about
So
Titanfall 2.
excited.
It's
of
frothing
course.
at the mouth.
But
I
for
think
now,
we should
here
prepare
is,
for Titanfall, yes?
we should definitely prepare for Titanfall. For now, here is "Love You More" by Mount Cashmore.
So we're back, and that was a song, which I have totally forgotten. But
First
yeah.
class radio work here, James. Well
So
done.
we're back, and we're going to be doing some reviews of the games we've been playing. But before that, some housekeeping. If you want to text us in, which nobody ever does, you feel free to send text into 07903 545 252, or you can send us a free web text at urn1350.net. And Mark or Dylan is going to read out some text for us.
Ooh.
You're closest to the.
I'll read out some text. I have to bring the mic round here. So we've got this one's quite nice. Just been waiting for a show like this for ages. Good work, guys. That makes me feel good.
Brilliant. That's
Happy
I'd like
days.
to hear that. Thanks
You
for
know,
sending me
guys.
the text.
we're doing good stuff here. And then OH comes in. I believe this is a friend of the show, Ollie Hudson. Shout out. Says, have any of you seen the 360-degree treadmills for VR?
I have
I have
actually.
not.
They're very cool. They are very cool,
Is
to be fair.
I assume that that's
when
a
you
treadmill where
yeah,
you can run in any direction, not where if you face backwards you immediately fall off.
Yeah, you have to keep going. Like, no, you stand in like a little pit and you walk around, and if you like shooting or whatever, you just kind of
you walk,
those,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
move,
I've
but you
seen
do
those,
move. It's very
yeah,
cool.
I've
It's very
seen
cool.
one
It's
of
very
those.
good.
Did they have them out on that episode of the Gadget Show a while back? Where
They
he has
did.
the
Yes, they
treadmill-
did. They made one, didn't they?
Yeah, and like paintball guns set
That
up.
was it.
So when he was playing like Call of Duty and he got shot, a paintball gun would fire from a certain direction and
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah.
it was like
Really,
it was
yeah.
real life.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've had a few texts, and keep sending those in text, please. So, yeah, get in touch, and we will read you out. And
Yeah, we love it. Anything good? Any good questions? Anything you want to know? Let's do it.
exactly.
Hopefully we can answer.
All about community interaction here at the Gaming Show.
And we are now going to go to some reviews. And Dylan has been playing Titanfall 2.
Oh yeah. So I've always been a big fan of Titanfall. I got it quite late, so I got it on the Xbox One when it was fairly cheap as well. But instantly fell in love with it. It was just multiplayer, but very fluid game. All the controls feel. It's hard to explain. So it's a lot of wall running, and you've got jump packs, which is you can't see my quote marks, but you got jump packs, which is basically a small jetpack.
So it's worth quickly saying Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter
yeah,
that's just
that's a
been
good point.
released for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. It's made by Respawn Entertainment. It's published by EA. It came out on yesterday. Yeah, it came out yesterday. It's super cool. It's a futuristic first-person shooter.
Super
Just
cool.
Quickly, it's worth.
That's our exclusive right there.
That's a good
Super
cool.
Super cool, right there. That's hot journalism.
So yeah, anyway, so Titanfall, brilliant. It was great. And they announced Titanfall 2, I guess like half a year ago now, I think it was.
something like
And I've been excited ever since. Bought it at midnight yesterday. And played the campaign all the way through, played a bit of multiplayer. And so the first one never had a campaign, which was it was a point of contention for a lot of fans of the first one. It was like, it's a lovely game, I love playing it, but I feel like there should be a bit more. So this one's got it, and it's done it great. So Respawn were it's a bunch of people from Infinity Ward back when they made Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, right?
Yeah, I think after Modern Warfare 2, they had some
There was a spat, wasn't there?
beef with Activision.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the main guys, the ones who are sort of credited for like COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, left and they started Respawn.
Respawn, yeah.
With EA.
So
good pedigree.
the campaign, you can tell it feels very Call of Duty, but that's no bad thing. Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 are brilliant games. Like, I don't think I've ever met someone who plays a lot of games that doesn't love them.
Yeah.
And you can really feel it. It's got all these really innovative campaign moments. Obviously, I'm not going to say any because I want you to experience them themselves. Exactly, spoilers.
The game is literally 24 hours old.
We should.
Yeah.
We should definitely have a spoiler ident.
But anyway, so it really builds on the first one. The movement is very similar, but especially in the campaign, it's almost exactly the same. But in the multiplayer, they've added a lot of pilot abilities. So the pilot is what you call your character, essentially. They've had a lot of pilot abilities, such as grappling hooks.
That's very cool.
Things like that. So it really just makes the game even more fluid, I guess. You can. It's not just the Arkham games.
Yeah.
They're sort of got a grappling
games.
hook. Yeah. The grappling hook really just takes you in one direction and either launches you or gets you to it. Whereas the grappling hook in this, it really carries your momentum. So if you're running, you build up quite a lot of speed. If you're running and you grapple hook on something on the corner, it will swing you around that corner.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that.
So you can really keep your flow going. Often in games you'll feel you get to a corner, you have to stop, turn around.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe sometimes feels a bit jerky. This, you
like that.
never stop moving, and you're always killing.
Always grooving.
Yeah. So it feels amazing. If you really loved the first one, there's a few things they've changed which isn't great. So the Titans have a set amount of health that goes down, and you've really got to rely on the rest of your team to help you. So there's a mechanic in it which allows them to steal health from another Titan essentially and give it to you.
Yeah, it's worth also saying again.
Titans are the mechs. Yeah,
Titans are the big robots. So in Titanfall, you play as a dude who's a pilot, and you go around killing people, and then at a certain point they drop a giant robot down from space for you to climb in, and then you do better murder with the robot.
Yeah.
It's genius. It's the best idea for a video game. It's so cool.
Small fast murder and then big slow murder. I mean, it's pretty great. But yeah, so it's a lot of teamwork in this, which if you're working with a team, that's great. If you're not, it can be a bit difficult. It adds a point of I don't know how to say it, sort of, I guess, you feel a bit more on your own in it.
Sure.
Because if no one's helping you, then there's not much you can do.
Right.
There's a lot of people shooting you, and if no one's helping you out, you're done for.
Yeah, definitely.
But it has definitely improved. There are these very minor changes that maybe they shouldn't have bothered with, or at least I don't think. Obviously, other people might like it, but there are these small things that are a bit funny. But once you really get into it, it's one of those games where you're playing it for a while, like you just sort of get lost in it. Which is when a game's like that, it doesn't matter really
that's
how
good.
good
That's
it
what
is.
you want, isn't it?
That's what you want from the game. The pit in is it Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 1?
Modern Warfare 2 had the
Yeah.
pit, yeah.
So it's like you run through. It's like a training thing. It sort of teaches you, gives you
It's
a
like
go
a
at doing it.
time trial based thing,
Yeah.
just to introduce you to the controls of
Exactly,
the game
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
It helps you practice before you really get into it. This has the same thing right at the beginning, and even while you're installing the game, still you can play it. And it's got a little leaderboard of famous pilots in the game. You don't know who they are because it's the first time you played it, but there's a big leaderboard, and they project a ghost, or like in racing games, you get a ghost of a car.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. So you can see that beating you the entire time. So the first time I played it, I spent like half an hour to an hour just doing that, just trying to get better and better. So you've got to run through this thing as fast as you can, and for every enemy you miss, you get a penalty. So even if you finish it super quickly, you might end up getting like double or triple the time. But that was just a ridiculously, I don't know, it's just a really good way to start the game, I thought, because instantly I was immersed in it. It felt lovely because I knew what I was doing, I knew where I had to be, and it gets you set up for the rest of the game.
Yeah, sure.
I should mention the campaign. It's the story is not that great.
So quickly, we've been asked for a good Titanfall related pun.
Oh,
Can you help us out? I think I've got one, but
you go for it.
You better unleash it, mate.
so when you die in Titanfall, is it a Titan fail?
Big sign going, boom, Titan fail.
I'll see myself out.
Leave the room,
Yeah,
the
it'd be
door's
good to
there,
have you,
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so now, thank you very much for that. Then now, just quickly, before we move on, if you had to give this, I know it's only been out for 24 hours, but if you had to rate this game out of 10, from what you've experienced, I know you're a massive fan of the first one, you might be a bit biased towards it, but if you had to give a fair opinion, what would you rate it out of 10?
Alright, so I'm definitely biased. But I'd still say, from what I've played so far, I loved playing the campaign. I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty
I
good.
absolutely adored playing it. I felt invested. Even though the story was terrible, I felt invested in it.
Thank you very much. Now we are going to move over. Now, Henry, you've been playing a game recently as well. It's just come out, Battlefield 1. How's that been going for you?
Battlefield, so I only got it yesterday, and I've played about 2 hours, and I'm really enjoying it. I was saying to the guys earlier that this feels like the game that DICE should have been making. This is a proper battlefield. Like, you go on it, and it's set in World War One, is it?
Yeah.
No, yeah, World War One. And
let's for Battlefield 1 as well. Let's just go. It's a first-person shooter. It's made by DICE. It's published by EA. It came out, was it last Friday?
Yeah, it's very new.
Yeah. It's set in World War One. Let's hear what you think about it.
Thank you. Yeah. So basically, it's the thing I like about it is it's very realistic. You run around on the battlefield, and it does feel like you are actually participating in war, unlike Call of Duty, where it can feel quite gimmicky.
Yeah, definitely.
This actually feels like quite a good experience, and also it's quite respectful of the content. You know, this is obviously quite a difficult period of history for us, but actually it is very respectful, and it does make every person participate, be German or whatever, seem like someone who was of someone of value. So I think actually that's quite commendable. But the game is fun, the mechanics are fun, the guns feel gritty, and you know, the aim was all over the place, and the recoil was rubbish. But actually, that's exactly what it would be like. No,
have you hit anyone with a bayonet yet?
No, I haven't, but I have charged on a bayonet and missed. I think I went into a wall or something.
Perfect.
So yeah, I have had a go. But the environment's fully destructible, which is classic Battlefield.
I mean, it always has been, yeah. I mean, in previous Battlefields as well. This was what their fifth game of the series now, is it, or something? Ridiculous?
Well, there's been Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 2,
of course, yeah.
Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline, Battlefield 1. There's also 1943. There's Vietnam. There's the two bad companies. DICE make a lot of games, it turns out, and they're all Battlefield games.
They don't sleep. But yeah, no, it's a very good game. And if you ever had a childhood fantasy about, you know, world wars and kind of being a soldier, this is definitely a game for you. It throws you in. It's gritty. It's fun to play. It's very, very satisfying, and it's quite hard. This is not a game that you're just going to pick up and just excel at. It's not like, you know, it's a game that you work at and get better at, and it's satisfying in that sense. So I would definitely recommend playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's mainly one of the reasons that I'm not really a fan of Battlefield, is because I just don't. I'm not very good at it, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know, it's one of those games where I have to try and sit down and try and play it, and even then, you know, I used to be a massive fan of the Battlefield games back in the day when it was me and a couple of my mates hopping online. Obviously, you get squads of 4 when you go and play online, so you can go online and play with your friends in a little squad of 4. You each be a different role, because what is it? It's like medic,
medic,
engineer,
assault,
sniper,
and
like assault as well. So you can all pick one of those, and then you all roll as a squad, and it's really good. But recently, I just haven't really had that sort of feeling where it's been something that I'd like to get involved in, which is perhaps why I'm a massive fan of COD, because I'm sort of better at that game. But
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, like Dylan said, the Titanfall 2's got a campaign mode, and obviously Battlefield 1 has a campaign mode as well. Have you played
It does
much
indeed,
of that?
yeah, that's worth mentioning. It does have a campaign
Quickly,
mode.
before you get into the campaign, I'm over here monitoring the text, and someone who hasn't put a name out has come in with the genius Battlefield 1, more like Battlefield Fun.
Oh, nailed it.
I'm loving the pun game.
Thank you very much. Good.
Keep sending in those puns. This is great.
But do remember to sign off your text so that we can accredit you to this genius. Battlefield Fun, indeed. No, the campaign is a lot of fun actually. I'm not a huge fan of shooter campaigns. I usually find them quite throwaway. Just putting it out there, but actually, this one they don't try to make one big story or narrative. Instead, it's lots of kind of, as Mark said earlier, these kind of vignettes, these tiny missions that just represent different characters. So one will take place in Africa and another will take place in France, and they're all separate, distinct stories on their own. So actually it allows you to just dip into the stories that you care about, and it gives you a really good flavour of all the different roles that went on in the war. So actually the campaign is brilliant. And I've only played like 2 missions, but really, really liked it.
Yeah, that sounds like a really smart way for them to do that campaign, because I know a big criticism people have had with previous Battlefield games is that disconnect between the campaign and the multiplayer. Where the multiplayer, you're a foot soldier, you're there, you're working as part of a team, you're in a battle, and then in the single player, it's you and your two mates trying to single-handedly stop a Russian invasion or whatever, and it doesn't vibe with the style of Battlefield. So to make that campaign it's just battles, it makes sense. It seems like a really clever way to do that.
Yeah, I think it is a good move. There's no kind of rubbishy, wishy-washy story that doesn't quite land. It's very clear about what it wants, and
I think one of you said earlier, it's not you're not a hero, you're a soldier in it, aren't you?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're not you're not the chosen one. You are just a bloke. Actually, at the beginning, you play as quite a number of people, and you are literally there to just die. And when you die, it just says whatever, Dylan, and then it'll go 19. This is when you died, and then you'll go on to the next character, and you're just another soldier. And actually, so it's quite gives you a good experience of what it's like to actually just have all these deaths going on in war, and not just be like some hero. So yeah, great. It's very realistic. It's a lot of fun. So I'd recommend.
Yeah. Now another game that is, I don't know if it's come out yet. It's obviously Civilization 6. Is that?
It has
out yet?
released.
That has released. Yeah.
My flatmates have been
right?
confined to their rooms since it came out.
So obviously, for those of you guys that don't know what the Civilization games are all about, essentially you pick a leader to start with, and essentially it's you pick that leader and you are playing as that leader, and you settle your cities, and you get to train up warriors and workers, and essentially you get put onto a world map, and you've got land and you've got sea, you've got different and also at the same time there are other people, other of the CPUs are other leaders, and they're also trying to beat you at the game and try and win the game before what is it? There's three different ways of winning.
6 or 7, I think.
You can have religious wins, scientific wins.
The genre
wins.
of Civ is it's a 4X game, which is explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. So that should give you a good idea of what you do in that game. You build a civilization, you explore a world, you expand your civilization, you make friends, you make enemies, you get into wars, you go to space. It's a game with a kind of crazy scale on it.
There's a lot of depth to it, and actually it can be quite. It's a game that's quite. And I've watched my flatmates play it, and they've all got it. And it's one of those games where if you've never played a Civilization game before, you sit down, you are going to be a bit lost. And there is
it's impenetrable.
Very lengthy tutorial. A very lengthy tutorial. I think it's can take you up to 2 hours. So obviously, a lot of people that doesn't really appeal. So it can be quite unapproachable, but as you said, there is a lot of depth to it, and so if you put time into it, there's a lot you can gain from it.
So, obviously none of us have played Civ 6. Do any of us have any history with Civilization games?
Yeah,
I played a lot of Civ 5.
I played a lot of Civ 5. I bought a Civ Beyond Earth when it was on sale.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the space one, yeah?
Which is the space one. And I liked what they were trying to do with it, but I didn't quite understand where they were trying to go with it.
Yeah, sure.
Like it's one of the it's essentially a Civ game, like we've just been explaining, but you get dropped on a planet. And the planet has these gas clouds, which are spots on the map where if you move into them, you immediately start taking -10 damage each turn that your soldiers are in that block. And I understand that mechanic, because obviously you want to try and there is another mechanic in the game where you can construct plants to get rid of this poisonous gas to make your life a lot easier. But I didn't quite understand what they were trying to do with it. I was a massive fan of Civ 5, although I don't think I've ever finished a Civ 5 campaign.
Oh, definitely not.
When it gets to the latter stage,
ridiculous.
You have about 100 different units on the map, and you're just trying to move each one of them a couple of spaces a turn, and it just takes forever to try and rattle through.
I think I used to play Civ 5 on a not particularly powerful laptop, and every time I got to about turn 200, that was when it took so long to calculate the moves of all of the AI players that my laptop would just crash. So I've never actually finished a game of Civ, because every time I get to turn 200, it just goes, no more game for you.
It's quite a good point you brought up there, because actually the new game, one of their main things is that now, instead of having to move units individually, you can group them all together, and you can just move them all together, which actually
that's pretty smart.
It's going to save a lot of time and a lot of effort. So actually, I think
especially in those early ones when you've got like 5 or 6 units of the basic soldier and you just want to move them.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want to just chuck them around on their own. So yeah, Civ 6 is meant to be very good. Visually, it looks awesome, and the thing I really like about it is that when you're discovering the map, it's basically like a parchment map, and as you discover new bits, it rips that away, and then you have this sort of like organic environment, and then you have a bit of map, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds really.
It's got
cool.
a good visual style, and it's Looks cool.
I think that's all we've got time for our review section. We've got about 20 minutes left. We are going to go to a song, and when we come back, we're going to be doing a little feature that we like to call Hall of Game, where we go around the table, we'll ask people who they think is what character from any video game would they put into the Hall of Fame, and then we'll be talking a bit about some games that are coming up that we are all looking forward to as well. But for now, here is Freedom by Beyonce.
We're back, and that was Beyonce with Freedom, and now we're going to play our feature Hall of Game. We chat about our
pretty good pun, guys.
It is.
We're 3 for 3 so far.
Literally, yeah. I literally thought of that on the spot. That was great. But before we play that, I'm just going to read out some text we've had. If you guys had to be limited to one game genre, what would it be and why? Steve from accounting.
Oh, cheers, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Hope you're
Steve.
enjoying your accounting. I think it was quick go round. We haven't really got time. We'll quick go around and just go for it. So, Mark, what's your genre?
I'd probably say like 90s first-person shooters. I love Quake, I love Unreal Tournament, I love Half-Life, I love that sort of thing. Like everything from that ilk. It's all brilliant. It's all good stuff. It's all fast-paced. Give me that.
Sounds good. Dylan?
I'd have to go with futuristic shooters because Halo and Titanfall, my 2 favourite games.
Fair play.
See, this is a tough decision for me because I'd like to say sport games, but I don't think I could sit down and just play FIFA. As much as I'd like to play FIFA and all of these kind of sporting games, I don't think I could just commit to playing that for the rest of my life. So, but yeah, I mean, if I had to choose one, it would obviously be sports.
Maybe Call of Duty counts as a sport game now because of esports.
Esports.
Electronic sports, man.
Yeah, you can adjust in there. I'd probably say fancy RPGs like Witcher.
That's a good one.
Yeah, all these kind of games. I love all that.
Witcher, Skyrim, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love those games.
Nice 200-hour chunks of gameplay.
Exactly. A lot of time to be lost there. So I had to pick one. My Desert Island. That'd be it. Yeah. Right. So thank you for that question. That was a very good one, Steve from accounting. So now we're going to play Hall of Game, and we're going to chat about our favourite video game characters. And I think we're going to start with Mark. And if you'd like to tell us about your favourite video game character. And
so I've got a lot of favourite characters. I didn't just want to pick like my very, very tip-top favourite because I thought like that's pretty boring if you're honest. So I went for one who I thought he was my favourite because he surprised me with just how interesting he was. I went for Edward Kenway, who is the protagonist from Assassin's Creed 4.
I actually was going to go for him.
Yeah, well, I've sniped your spot there, mate. Edward Kenway is brilliant because unlike pretty much every other Assassin's Creed protagonist, or at least all the ones before that, who were people who got involved in the first one, he was just straight up an assassin to start with, like Altair, but then it was Ezio and Connor Kenway, and those guys, they got involved in assassinating and became assassins to fight Templars. In Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Kenway's just a pirate, and then he gets in a shipwreck and meets another guy who got shipwrecked on this island, who's dressed like an assassin, and he beats him up, and he nicks his clothes, and he goes through the deal that guy was going to do, to go and make some money, and he doesn't really become an assassin like properly for ages. He's the least assassin-y of all the Assassin's Creed characters, and it works really well for him because unlike all the other Assassin's Creed characters who are just constantly spouting, nothing is true, everything is permitted, and it's very doctrinated, Edward Kenway's just a pirate. He just wants to make his money and get drunk and hang out. And the way his character develops throughout it is he learns about his wife back home in England, and he learns about his family and what's going on with his children, and he sees all his friends come and go, and it comes together in a way that has an emotional depth to it that really, really surprised me, especially from an Assassin's Creed game. I thought he's not my favourite per se, but he's one of the most surprising video game characters I've played in a very long time, and I really liked the way that they made him really different and unique.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah, he's a good character. As I said, I was almost going to pick Edward Kenway because he's as I said, he's just a pirate. But actually, he's a great guy.
Well,
I really enjoy his story.
Then?
I picked. I'm going to go with Geralt from The Witcher.
I knew there was going to be one.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, The Witcher is my favourite game, and I have said that before. But Geralt is one of my favourite characters because he's so morally ambiguous, and when you play the games, the decisions that you make, at no point, in the third one, do they say to you, "Oh, this is bad and this is good." You're just this monster slayer, and you go around and you make decisions, and they're all quite sort of, they're quite ambiguous. And as a character,
a lot of them are kind of miserable as well. It's kind of like
they are.
It's not like this is a good and a bad thing, and you have to pick. It's like these are two bad things, and you just have to sort of deal with it.
Yeah, you have to pick something pretty awful either way. But the thing about a character is he's monster slayer, and in a sense that could be quite a cliche. He could be a sort of wisecracky, but he's not. He's not really. He's quite well read. He's quite intelligent bloke, and he gets quite political. And there's a lot of depth to him. He's quite a quiet man, despite being this kind of monster slayer. But when you get into these political situations, very interesting to see his beliefs come through, and the decisions that he makes when deciding whether to slay monsters or humans. And actually, I think he's a character with a lot of depth. And the other thing I should say is that because he's a Witcher, he has this kind of he can renew his health. So he's very old, so he has seen a lot. So in terms of interest,
or something, isn't
something like that. So in terms of interest, he has seen a lot, and he kind of often references the adventures he's been getting up to. And I'd just love to know more about his backstory.
Have you read the books?
I read the first one.
They're really good.
They are good, actually.
They're really, really good.
Yeah, it's by the author, isn't it? Andrzej Sapkowski.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he writes Witcher
I've got
novels, yeah.
all the ones that are in English, and they're brilliant.
They're good, aren't they? Yeah, they're not too bad, actually.
I think what's his famous line is when the guy walks up to him and he says, "Well, you've got I heard the silver sword's for monsters and the steel sword is for humans," and he goes, "No, they're both for monsters."
I like that. That's good.
That
brilliant.
paints the kind of character that Geralt is.
That's a good line. Yeah, so Geralt Witcher, huge fan. Dylan.
So I had to think about this, and again, I wouldn't say my very favourite character, but I definitely think he deserves to be in the Hall of Game, as it were. Sergeant Johnson from the Halo series. So from the first 3, he's the other ones set in a different story, basically. So you don't follow him anymore. But he's just a brilliant character. From the moment you meet him, he's quite an obvious sort of leader of his little battalion or whatever it is.
I mean, he is the drill sergeant from Aliens, isn't he? Like he is the dude with the big moustache and the cigar from Aliens who wakes everyone up and says, "Come on, ladies, let's get to work." But he's in a video game fighting the Covenant.
Yeah, and it works brilliantly. It's not a super original character, but he's brilliant. I don't think I've ever met someone who's played Halo who doesn't love him. He's a great character, and there's certain points in the story with him where he does something and you're just like, yeah, you go, Sergeant Johnson. You rock this. And obviously Master Chief, when you follow the expanded story and stuff, brilliant character, but when you're playing the games, it's an empty shell that you fill yourself.
Yeah, sure.
You put yourself in, and that's why Halo's so great to play. But you can't really love the character from just the game for that. And I think Sergeant Johnson fills that in the first 3 Halos, and I think he works perfectly, and I think that's why he should be in it.
Nice.
He's well cool.
Sergeant Johnson.
much like VR, he's well cool.
He's got some good one-liners as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got some really good lines in there.
So I'm actually not a Halo. I don't really play Halo at all. So I don't really know anything about this, but I am interested to see what he's like. I might actually YouTube and see if there are any Sergeant Johnson remixes.
If you've seen Aliens and you like the Sergeant from Aliens, he is that but in a video game, and it's really, really
Sounds
cool.
good. Yeah. Jack.
Well, in very, very similar vein to Dylan, I've got to go with Captain Price. You know, he is just one of those characters in obviously he's from the Call of Duty series. He was in, I believe he was in the first 2 Call of Duties, Call of Duty 1 and Call of Duty 2.
I think he was in 2.
I think at least 2. Yeah,
I mean, I think what he's most famous for, and what a lot of people know him for, is his appearance in Call of Duty 4,
which isn't the same Price, is it? It's like the son of the Price from before. Because obviously I think Call of Duty 2's in World War II, so it's like a weird thing. But
it's his name is Captain Price, and he in one of the missions in particular is a mission in Call of Duty 4, all gillied up, where it's you play as this guy called Soap McTavish, and you're going with him in this.
No, you play as Price.
Do you play as Price?
Yeah, because the reason it's nuts is because in that entire game you're playing as Soap, and you're working with Price, and then all gillied up is the flashback where you get to play as Price, who up until this point has been like the ultimate like dude, and then you get to be Price working with Macmillan, and you go on that secret mission, and it's awesome.
Yeah, because basically what it is you and this guy Macmillan are after a Russian, is Russian basically
separatist, isn't he?
Yeah, something like, I don't really know how to describe him. You know, he's like a head of a Russian militia, and you know you go into the forest, into the jungle where all of the Russian stronghold is, and you are essentially trying to track down this guy and snipe him down and then escape as quick as possible. And it's one of the most amazing missions ever, I think, ever in any kind of game ever. You know, it's
really cool.
It's really good, and I think, you know, I don't think I've ever been so emotionally attached to one character ever. He's just, you know, ever since I played that mission, you just get so attached to just him and his personality.
But he's a stone cold operator, isn't he? Like in all 3 of those games, he's got his great big moustache and his big cigar, and he always knows what to do. And he wanders round, and he's just cold killing people, and
he's a proper alpha male, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a real cool guy.
Yeah. He's a real cool guy.
Yeah,
Trying out some
man.
crackers, Mark. Yeah, so that was good. So we have Sergeant Johnson, Captain Price, Geralt of Rivia, and Edward Kenway. So that's a good four that we're going to put in the Hall of Game, and obviously we'll come back to it next show, because I know I've now got lots of other characters I want to talk about.
I think we could put some other things in the Hall of Game as well. I think there are a lot of things that go in the Hall of Game that aren't just characters.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
That's going to be a pretty full hall by the time we're done, I think.
perhaps. But now we are actually running out of time. We have actually only got about 5 minutes roughly left.
Yeah.
So we are going to do a bit of hype and talk about what we're looking forward to. Now, a big
Gwent,
game.
just Gwent.
Well,
Can we
Gwent.
just start with Gwent? Because obviously
Mate,
tying in with the Witcher 3 connections, I know we did talk about
did
it
talk
a bit,
about Gwent.
last week. And I know, Dylan, you're a massive fan of Gwent. I'm pretty sure that
So
everyone
good.
in this room has played or is still playing
game.
The Witcher, because it's such a long game to complete. 100%. But yeah, Gwent is essentially a in-game card game in the Witcher in the Witcher 3 game, and essentially it's like you play off against your opponent. You've got 10 cards in your hand you can choose to exchange free, and it exploded so much just in that game, and it blew up so much that they are now releasing a game for it, a standalone game that I'm not sure when the official release date
We just got a text asking for a release date, and I cannot tell you, I'm afraid.
I know the beta is out at the moment. They are sending out codes if you have registered online for the beta.
Is it this year?
I would think January.
Okay, cool.
Personally, because as I said, they got a base coming out, but I wouldn't thought it'd be ready for Christmas. So sadly, but no, the Gwent is coming. We're very excited for it.
Yeah, and
You can
that's
get
like
you fill in the game at the moment.
yeah, and that's not.
Yeah.
That's not only have they taken Gwent from The Witcher and they've put it into a game, they have added in a whole new single player that's played from like an insane.
Oh, really?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
I
it's
didn't
like an
know
isometric single player where you wander around getting into Gwent battles.
Oh, really?
And
No way.
they've improved. There's
I
like
didn't know that.
there's like real mild RPG mechanics to it. They've improved some elements of the game. They've mixed some bits up. They've added in a bunch more cards. They've taken that experience from The Witcher 3 and they've not just made it a multiplayer client for that, they've made it a whole new thing and a multiplayer client, which is awesome. It's what people want, because Gwent is really
Gwent's
legit.
great. We like Gwent. No, that's awesome. I
Brilliant
didn't know about that
Yeah.
little first thing. That's awesome. Another huge game came out. I'm not personally a fan, but I know people are unbelievably excited for this game, which is Final Fantasy 15. A game that has been almost a decade in the making, I think.
Was it Fabula Nova Crystallis when it was announced in 2006 or something crazy?
Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it
but
was something nuts. Yeah.
for those who don't know, Final Fantasy is this kind of big Japanese game where you're kind of... It's quite described, really. Is anyone a huge fan? Can we a quick rundown
It's
through?
okay. So they're JRPGs. So it's
Which is a kind of Japanese role-playing game.
yeah. So Final Fantasy, each Final Fantasy game is in its own universe, but they have similar themes. They've got characters that sort of pop up around it, and the idea is you tend to play as traditionally like 18-year-old boy with a really wild haircut who goes on an adventure for about 100 hours across a huge environment, getting into turn-based combat battles and trying to save the world from some sort of disaster or another. I've messed around in Final Fantasy VII for about 20 hours, and then it suddenly became a giant game, and I got terrified. I don't know. Yeah, that game. I mean, in the first 10 hours of that game, you sneak into a brothel dressed like a woman. So it's very strange.
So there's something for everyone in that game.
Yeah, like it's a weird game.
At 11, my dad had it on the PlayStation 2.
Is that right?
And
Wow.
that's the only experience I've ever had with it.
But yeah.
Very odd game.
Final Fantasy 15 looks to be like Road Trip Simulator 2016.
It
from
does,
what it
doesn't
seems.
it?
It's
Yeah.
like 4 dudes who are best mates, and they get in there like I think it's literally a Mercedes.
It's sort of Mercedes Lexus type
Yeah,
thing.
and they drive around in some fantasy continent fighting dragons and saving the king from certain death or something crazy.
Those are very cool. I
It's
think
Japanese as hell.
the thing I like about it is that it has this art. I mean, as I said, I'm not probably going to buy it, but I'm still interested in it. And it has this art style where they combine a kind of medieval theme with a very futuristic one. So as you said, you've got this car, but you've also got like a sort of medieval
sword.
king, and you've got a sword and all this kind of weird sort of blend of genres. But actually, it looks really cool, and in terms of gaming, it looks quite innovative. So that's definitely one to watch out for if you're a fan.
I mean, 10 years in the making, like it's at least worth having a look and seeing what happens when someone
See what
spends
they-
that long
See
trying
what
to
they've
make a
been
video
getting up to,
game.
yeah, definitely. And as I said, we are very, very nearly running out of time, so we'll talk about one more game before we go, which I know we're all excited for, which is Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
You said, Dishonored is one of those games where I think I downloaded it on my PC, and then I suddenly realised, well, wait a minute, my PC can't actually run this. So I've never actually played it on. Well, it was back when I had my laptop. Now I've got my PC. I might maybe think about installing it on my PC and then playing through it quickly before Dishonored 2 comes out. But from what I've seen and all of the crazy sort of kills that people string together, obviously the movement system is so cool. And yeah, I'm I don't know about you guys. If you guys have played the first Dishonored, maybe you guys can tell me a bit more about Dishonored 2. But
I've played Dishonored quite extensively. The first one, I did the same thing. I got it when it was on sale on Steam. I thought it wouldn't run on my laptop, but luckily it did.
Yeah.
And brilliant game. It's one of those. It's one of those games where you've got a lot of options. So you can do it in. You get magic in it through some weird Deus Ex type thing. But also there's quite a lot of technological things in it, and you can play it anyway. You can have just sort of a magic-based character, but in slightly different to RPG.
Yeah.
And also you can do it either really sneakily and not kill anyone, or you can do it, I think they call it high chaos,
and you just murder everybody.
Yeah, exactly. You just kill everyone inside.
Like, you have to kill everyone. Dishonored 2's working on that. I think it's the same character, isn't it?
It is. It's Corvo.
And then also the
Emily,
girl
who's
from
the
the
protagonist from the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, it's kind of a game where it's first person. You go around and you kill people, and it's kind of an RPG, sort of. You can make a few decisions, but it's kind of linear. Looks very cool. It's coming out very soon. Being made by Arcane Studios. I'm very looking forward to that. But yeah, so these are some of the games we're looking forward to. But we have unfortunately run out of time.
We have indeed, Henry. I'd just like to say a quick thank you to everyone who's been sending in their texts, and of course,
I think we've got one last question on text actually for a video game character impression from Rich. So I'm going to give him a quick Metal Gear, and then we can move on. That was my solid. That was my solid snake.
Thank you, Mark. And Rich.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. Now I'd like to say a quick thanks to Henry for having us on the show, and of course, thank you very much for Dylan and Mark for coming down.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thanks
we
for
are now
letting us be here.
going to go to a song. This is Shout Out to My Ex by Little Mix, and when we come back, you are going to be listening to the 4th episode of the Extra Extra, the comedy podcast from URN.
Happy gaming, folks.